the little ones, like Yoni uses.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I was thinking about that, but it's like the same price to light everything up.
Yeah.
I might put in a green screen.
Where at on this wall?
Yeah, and then it kind of wraps around over here.
That would be cool, because then you could like put us anywhere you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know if it'd be big enough. I think I could be angled a little more towards your direction. Maybe I can do it with just like this.
Nice.
50-50.
Good
So,
deal.
yeah. What do you think about Joe Biden?
I think that he's one practical prank away from being assassinated. You know what I mean?
Like if he does a prank,
no, like if someone put like a one practical prank on him,
he would die.
yeah. Like if I decided to be like some type of jackass character and kick the leg out of his lawn chair for fun, that fall would kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the strength and resilience we need to be the figurehead of our country. Without getting too political.
Well, physically, he's not that fit.
I saw a picture of him, 26, same age as me right now, in Santa Barbara, California last night. He's a handsome guy. And it was weird to look at him and be like, just to think he had like the same type of brain processes as me at 26, maybe. And you're like, does that guy know he's going to be president one day?
Yeah.
And then I thought, I don't think he knows he's fucking president right now. I don't think he ever got the satisfaction of the situation.
No.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel the that vigor, that fucking I did it.
Right. Do you think he fucks?
Not well.
I don't think he's fucking. His wife looks great for her age. She's throwing it. Do you think
I
he's
think
watching?
maybe he soaks
I think that's in the tub, in his wife.
in his wife.
He's just a soak. He's a soak guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would
feel
hope
like
that.
it'd be crazy to go back in time and be like, hey, you're going to be president someday. And he's like, oh my God, when? About 70 years from now.
Yeah, he's like, what?
I have to wait 70 years?
I'm going to live that long? People don't live that long. Back then, people
That's
didn't live
true.
that long.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's the safest choice, though, if you were to choose anybody to lead a country, would be the oldest possible candidate. I think that's what the book The Giver's about.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
The Giver.
Yeah.
That
Remember
book
that?
we all read in high school, middle
Yeah.
school.
Stay golden, pony boy, whatever.
That's
The Outsiders. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. But the Giver's about like, oh, the memory lies with this guy and he's passing it down by touching him.
Yeah.
He's got to touch little boys.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just putting their hands in their hair and giving them what it felt like to be 26.
This is how I felt when I was molested.
Yeah. Never mind. I was gonna say it had to have been easier to get away with molestation back then.
Definitely. They didn't even know what it was. They're like, oh, Grandpa's doing the touchy.
That's how communion is given. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that the Giver, it's like they can't see color because color is too dangerous.
Right. They're a genetically engineered like biome of people, right?
Yeah. They got rid of hills because hills are bad.
Really?
Yeah, in the book.
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, because he went down sledding and he was like, what was that?
Yeah. And then, because that's like the memory he had.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's just what Americans are afraid of. They're like, we might not have health care, but at least we have our freedoms.
Is that the metaphor you think?
Yeah, we're just constantly congratulating ourselves for like basic things that humans have. Like, we don't have any labor rights or affordable housing. Yeah. But at least we have.
I saw recently someone like unionized their simple labor job and they got like a $16,000 a year raise. And I was like, that's incredible. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we should get a share of the profits if you're working for a company. You shouldn't just get paid the minimum amount possible to survive.
Do you think comics will ever be able to successfully unionize?
I don't think it's a job that's necessary or like...
They have a film actors guild.
That's true. Fag.
Yeah. That is what it is called. It's just it's the fag group.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, eventually.
But there's always someone willing to do what we do, right? That's what I always hear.
Well, same with actors. Actors are desperate as fuck, but they manage to unionize. Because if you don't, it's just so sad. It's just you're so easily manipulatable.
That's right now, though. I mean, how many comedy shows? I mean, I don't know. Like, I do comedy shows for $20 all day, every day of the week. Like, and I'm like, yeah, it took me 5 years to develop
that's how much most of those shows bring in. It's right. Like a lot of those shows bring in a lot.
Yeah, you can't ask for too much.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to a show and you got 13 people sitting in the audience. You do the basic math. You're like, that's $260 or whatever. Yeah. Sitting here, and I'm asking for $50. Yeah.
So then you're only getting the bar money, which then you have to buy the alcohol and pay the bartender.
Yeah, and then you'd basically be unionizing to create better show producers. That's what it would be at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, why don't you actually advertise this?
Yeah.
And then pay me.
You have to have a good show. Yeah. It incentivizes us to make better shows.
Yeah. Recently I became like comfortable with the idea of being like fiscally stagnant as a comic. And then like even if there are like future successes in store, it doesn't guarantee steady work. So I'm just like comfortable with the idea of living broke artist like for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that took a lot of weight and stress off my shoulders.
Yeah. You don't have to have a Bugatti.
No. I'm just like, as long as I can pay my bills, I can figure out how to buy a beer at the comedy club every night. It doesn't matter. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's fun. You know, you might not be getting money, but like, what does money really mean anyways? But I think like the financial rewards aren't always matching the artistic rewards. 100%. It's like fucking crazy. Like sometimes you get a lot of financial rewards and not for doing anything super artistic.
Yeah. Like doing the Comedy Store recently was a truly intrinsic valuable situation. Like I was like, to someone else, this may have been like, yeah, I'll take $5 to tour the Comedy Store. But to me, it was like infinitely priceless. And then like I could have been paid nothing. But it, like you're saying, there's an artistic value to it all that makes it like I could have died that night in a weird way. Yeah. I would have been content. I'd like to have children and raise them to be successful adults. It was you're right.
At least weird. You got to be at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get like the idea that you fit into like a grander thing and part of something larger, and see yourself in that light and how you can contribute.
Right. It was nice. A buddy from high school hit me up, and that was like it's one of the first things in my comedy career where I think other people have been like, hey, that's really cool, man. You made it. And I'm like, made it? That's comical. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, most people have no idea what comedy is or what art is or what craft or getting good at something. All they know is promotion and corner office and all that. So like the signs, the feathers, the fromage of success is all that they have, and the symbols.
Right, and our definition of success is so wildly different. Just because...
because we're out there talking to people every day. We're looking them in the eye and being like, ooh, that made that person feel horrible.
Right.
Let me try not to do that.
Exactly. Or you're like having a drink at 11 p.m. and it's Tuesday, and that's just part of the theme of the night. It doesn't even matter. You're just like, this is who I am.
Yeah, like the Dave Attell type joy that you get.
Right. I have buddies who get off Friday and they're like, hell yeah, I can have my couple beers. I'm like, well, you can have a couple beers on Wednesday, man. And still go to work on Thursday. It's just going to be harder.
Yeah, my sense of the weekend is so... Like every day is a weekend. Like there is no weekend. Every day is the weekday and the weekend.
Yeah. Today's Tuesday. Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday. What do we do today?
You woke me up at like 12:30. I was like, yeah, I can be ready in 17 minutes or whatever. And then I fell back asleep on the recliner. Woke up to your phone call again. I got woken up by Hans twice today.
What time did you sleep last night?
I went to bed at 4:30 a.m. though.
Me too. I went to bed at 5.
Doing what?
Catan, and then I ate, and then I went to bed.
That's about what I was doing. I was watching that new scary movie, Barbarian.
I heard about it. Everyone's talking about it.
It was good. I was hoping it'd kind of be a little bit more edgy and grotesque, but it ended up being like, I laughed I love and hate a scary
What is
movie.
that? Is that the one where they have a trailer where the girl's like, I stayed here at the Airbnb, and then she finds like a secret passageway?
Right.
Yeah, that's like always a thing. That's like the thing in the World Fair in Chicago, where the guy
H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
That's
He's like his thing.
I've talked about this on a couple other podcasts, but there's an interesting theory that H.H. Holmes is Jack the Ripper, and before Jack the Ripper was Jack the Ripper, he was the slave girl slaughterer here in Austin.
They're all connected.
It's all the same guy. They think that he killed like 3 or 4 ladies, like servant girls. That's what it was called, the servant girl slaughterer here. And then when the heat got high on him, he left to Europe and then basically proceeded doing the exact same type of killing of the exact same type of woman. And then they said like maybe he developed so much as a killer in Europe that when he came back for the World Fair as H.H. Holmes, as an older man, he was just like methodical at that point.
But he got caught.
H.H. Holmes did get caught, yes.
So couldn't have been that good.
Well, I mean, not until the very end. He had built like a 20-bedroom house with like multiple torture rooms and like gas chambers and stuff. Like I think he maxed it out. I think he went out on top.
That's awesome.
Right.
Do you think that he had different builders, like he'd fire them and hire new ones, so no one had the full scope of it?
Right. Hey, you put in this gas pipe into this room with one window staring into it. It's like, what's that for? No, you're fired. You asked too many questions.
Yeah, you had to have money.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're killing people and you can like take their identities, it feels like in a time where you can like maybe if they have an account, you can. Have you ever seen Talented Mr. Ripley?
Yeah.
Same thing. It's like 1960s or whatever. You could easily just be like someone else.
Withdraw all their money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fascinating to be like, what would happen if I attacked everyone all the time?
I don't know. Up until like the 1930s, you were allowed to just kill your wife, tell the town that she was a floozy, and then marry again, and your kids would have a new mom.
But they would be like, that's kind of not polite. That's unseemly if you keep killing your wives.
Well, like, yeah, why this guy can't hold a woman down. And then meanwhile, it's just, your well is getting fuller and fuller and fuller every day.
Yeah. It's like, oh, she must have gone to the Oregon Trail.
Yeah. What's crazy is we're like 70, 80 years out from that being the norm.
That was not the norm.
I think it was. I think a lot of people were dying by murder more back then.
Well, yeah, definitely more than now. But I think the majority of people were getting along and figuring it out.
Mm-hmm. Big Brother didn't exist yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say with absolute certainty that if you put me in 1935 and give me like a Hatfield and McCoy type quarrel with a neighbor, and I knew there was no consequence to just kill that person, and the lack of education, the lack of moral standing, and the like geolocation of where I was at, I probably could have easily killed somebody. I mean, it's in us.
It's definitely a part of us that we experience that isn't very pleasant.
Yeah, no, it's the worst. I just admitted to murder back in the day. Yeah, I think there's something fun to acknowledging that part of us.
Yeah. You have to. If you're ignoring it, that's even worse because that means it's bubbling up inside you without any conscious checking.
Neglecting your carnal efforts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to know how much of the brain needs to kill. Because like we hunt and there's like a release from that.
Yeah. I mean, when you are only surrounded by people, then your only frame of reference for prey is going to be other people. It's not like we're hanging out with deer and, other animals.
Yeah.
It's not a part of our life. So we have these carnivorous predatory instincts, and then the only prey that we see is other people. So it's going to, if you let that develop, we're just going to start attacking each other. Right.
It's like the Dahmer thing. He did I think the taxidermy is what fried him and the early onset alcoholism.
Like, what do you mean? He saw a lot of taxidermy?
His dad taught him how to be a taxidermist as a child. Like he was fascinated by like a dead rat they found out of the house, and they wanted to like strip it to its bones. And I don't know, like at the time, as a parent, you can't be like, no, go inside and play with the iPad. Don't look at this. You're like, let's teach you how to do this.
It's the perfect mix of modern and primal. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
nature versus nurture. It's like,
Yeah.
nah, it's both.
Do you think it's like a cultural thing? Like we are in a, dog eat dog, heedless capitalist society where we're just trying to attack each other financially. And that's sort of the mindset. And so we're going to attack each other physically since that's what we're doing to each other economically.
Right. You ever heard like the thing, it's like do something and then pretend like it was on purpose? I think it's like maybe governing bodies are just fucking up so bad that when it goes bad, they're like, we planned this demise. The demise was the planned part, not the project we had going that failed miserably.
Yeah, they'd rather act like they have control over it than admit that they're just sort of not good at what they do. Right.
I mean, who's to say? Like, I don't know. Why are we? The last 3 years, there's been a new generation of the I can never say this word.
Romanticization.
Yeah.
Romanticization.
Romanticization. I think it would be like, I wouldn't be surprised if 20 years from now or 25 years from now, there's some 7 or 8 year old watching that show and they shouldn't be, and growing some demented thoughts in their head right now.
Yeah,
I think we should really control.
I hate that everyone's obsessed with it. Like yesterday, they were watching that guy in Waukesha that ran into a bunch of people. He's on trial now, and it's televised.
That happened in Europe or Washington?
In Wisconsin, Waukesha.
Yeah, that was the parade thing, right?
The parade, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
televised?
like I don't want to hear this guy's thoughts. Like this is not like we have empathy, and like you can't just like shoot your mirror neurons to anything and everything. Like you have to be careful what enters your brain.
Yeah.
And I feel like just empathizing with like crazy people and like the Joker and Jeffrey Dahmer, I just feel like it's not the best thing for your head.
It's definitely putting oil on the slope. It's like, hey, all you have to do now is step off and you're going to have all the ideas.
That's the scary thing is like people think that makes sense right now. They're like, I might have to do that. Let me prepare myself. Because we all feel this sort of impending doom.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good takeaway. I mean, it's like, how much talk, we were talking about that South Park episode, the Kick a Ginger Day. Gingers really didn't catch much flack before that episode. I didn't know that. I had no idea that fucked gingers so hard. But the whole idea of the episode, in true like South Park fashion, is that it's ridiculous to marginalize any group of people for the smallest thing.
Right, but not everyone will get that message that way.
8 and 10-year-olds just thought it was like, Kick a Ginger Day is a real thing now.
It's like fun.
Yeah. So ginger kids actually ended up like killing themselves and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because of a cartoon.
Yeah, because they put this meme in their head, this idea.
Right. So you don't think
Inception.
That because I watched Dahmer, I'm not thinking about possible ways to refrigerate a head. It's in me.
Did you see it?
Yeah. I watched the first 2 episodes and was like, this is like Handmaid's Tale. It's like, why am I going to constantly give myself an anxiety attack? Or why do I want to empathize with a man who thought he was going to get fucked in the ass and then ended up almost being murdered?
Yeah.
That's not an experience I need to insight on.
Yeah.
I'm not gaining anything from it. It's the same thing every time. It's like, I never would have gone in that house. I would have smelt the things and just been like, oh, that's what everyone says. So have you ever been horny?
That's the thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You probably would have
girl.
Yeah.
But that's like if our lives are like, not exciting and we're like living safer than we ever have, but we feel this weird sort of stress and anxiety, it's like, at least I'm not getting murdered. Like, oh, let me prepare myself against the only danger that I will face. This is like us watching Bear Grylls.
Yeah. Except for we know we're never going to get stranded in the wilderness.
Yeah.
I'm much more likely to become a predator to a serial killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a serial killer right now in LA. I found that out when I was out there. And it's a weird one because he's just walking up and shooting people without any type of before interaction or anything.
Yeah.
It's like a, what's his name? Son of Sam situation. That to me is scarier than being held captive and tortured to death.
Because that's more likely.
Yeah, way more. Like, I mean,
your life's just over.
You got any higher buildings around here that are taller than these windows? Like, I'm always thinking about it.
Luckily, those shades are closed.
Yeah. Luckily, no one wants to kill me.
They mapped this place out. I mean, that's the clock tower at the UT campus.
Yeah. That's the reason SWAT exists nationwide. After that failure as a response of law enforcement, they created SWAT so that they could handle situations like that.
And now Uvalde happened, and
so yeah.
It's like, how many SWAT teams do you need? You need a SWAT team in every Uvalde-sized city now.
Something just came out where I think their entire police force was let go. It was something like that.
It makes sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, they do that for fucking, yeah, that's really sad.
It's a tragic one.
I don't know what they were thinking. Like, as a cop, isn't this what you live for?
And as a big NRA component state, Texas brushes these things. We find a way to milk them for 3 months and then milk them dry to the point where after 3 months, it's just that's in the past now. Seguin. People forgot all about Seguin.
What's Seguin?
Exactly. It was a church that was shot up. 23 people were killed or something like that.
Oh my God.
With a hunting rifle. It was barbaric. And then someone...
So he was loading it each time?
It was something crazy like that. And then he was shot by someone there. So it was like an NRA success story.
After
but the truth
23.
is it was maybe not 23 is too much, but I remember it being more than, it was a double digit thing. One is too much, but it's scary how remember Sandra Bland?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about her almost every day because it's such a mystery that she just ends up dead with no suicidal preconvention in a Texas jail cell.
Yeah.
And then she's constantly mentioned through BLM movements and stuff like that, but I think it's bigger than that. I mean, it goes to show that law enforcement can do whatever they want with you once they arrest you.
Yeah, you're just a physical body.
Right. And then once again, Texas can push it away because they're like, it's some weird victory in a sense.
Well, yeah, letting go of the whole police force is a good step, I think. I think it sends a message.
Yeah.
And it's the police force is never really that, you never know how good it is until you need them. Mm-hmm. And then when something like this happens, it's fuck, they weren't good, and more kids died than they should have. And
right.
Yeah, it's like a fucking fire extinguisher. You never know until you have to need it.
In Texas, you can buy a gun and walk out with it the same day. A handgun now too.
Yeah, that's what I did when I bought mine.
I helped. I run that show at the gun store, and last time we were there, a comic bought a gun, and he purchased it hammered, not hammered, drunk, and was able to go home with it that night. I was like, you should pick it up tomorrow. It's, and both my brothers worked in pawn shops for a long time, and you can go into a pawn shop and buy an assault rifle today for a cut rate. It's
amazing there aren't more shootings.
Yeah, and the thing is that's a pawn shop, and no knock to my little brothers or anything, but neither one of them have completed a higher education system yet. And they're both very thoughtful individuals, and they've told me times
but they didn't have to be.
No. And there's people who are like, well, I'll make 8% off this gun sale either way.
Yeah.
And they're like, that'll pay for their Hulu subscription to hear about the documentary of the shooting they caused 3 months later.
Yeah. They're all a part of it, but no one is really responsible for any of it.
I think you should have to jump through quite a bit of hoops to purchase a firearm for mental health. At this point, we've come as far as a country to the point where it's why not vet us all?
Yeah.
They should listen to this podcast, listen to what I just said about killing my wife in 1930, and then decide we can't give this guy a firearm. He's a loose cannon waiting to happen.
Yeah. Guns are fun, though.
They're a blast, literally.
Yeah.
I grew up shooting skeet. I grew up hunting. So it's I think I have the mindset of it being a tool more than other people who have never handled firearm until they're an adult. I've seen a shotgun used to break something to get in. They're tools.
Is it a slug?
Yeah. One time I shot a squirrel with buckshot that was hanging on a tree, and I thought I had rat shot in, and I just grabbed the wrong shell and loaded it. Because when you're on the ranch, you don't even have the gun loaded on the thing. That's how we do it. It's a shotgun, and then the clip is separate, or the shells are separate, and then every time you need to use it, you load it. And one time I reached and grabbed a buckshot shell and put
What's a buckshot?
So there's rat shot, which is little tiny BBs, is what you imagine, and then buckshot is lumps of lead, it'll tear a hole through this it'll blast a hole through it.
Wow, that big?
Yeah, and if it hits something, it's gonna blow it to pieces. It's like a shrapnel fire, and all that was left was the tail sitting at the base of the tree. And then the owner of the ranch like kicks open the ranch house door. He's like, "What in the fuck is going on?" Because it's a louder round too. It's really he looks there's just smoke, a chunk of the tree missing, and a squirrel. And then my buddies are laughing at me because they're like, "We were kidding, man. You shouldn't have shot that squirrel." I was like, "I'm into it." I like barrel rolled outside of the cart. It's fun.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love guns.
How many do you own?
I only have one.
Is it a handgun?
Yeah.
Okay. 9mm?
Yeah.
Glock?
It's like a Glock. It's a Shadow Systems MR920. It's a longer barrel.
Nice.
It's like a little fancier.
Yeah.
Like a
customized gun.
Yeah, it's like they put a little extra stuff on it. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's cool though.
Yeah, it's fun to use and it's fun to shoot just to like make a little tight little groupings.
You should do a podcast pop. One podcast pop.
Just shoot it?
One time for the
Middle East.
Oh, blow these mics out.
Put the high filter on.
Oh,
yeah, it's so fucking loud. It's crazy.
Oh, we go deaf if you shot that in here.
I don't know how you shoot guns. Like they show it in movies. Like they're in a room struggling.
Yeah, you go deaf.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how loud it is. It's like crazy that we still need to use chemicals. It's like powders. It's like witchcraft.
The guns are?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a controlled explosion.
Yeah.
That pushes something. You're like sending a rocket man through someone's body every single time you do it.
Yeah. Like I don't know how you shoot guns without hearing protection on.
You go deaf.
Yeah.
I really think
if you're outside it helps. But yeah, you put that little thing on and you put the filter on so that you can still hear like tactically like people coming around. But
right.
Yeah. Like in the Ukraine, they always have like hearing protection on.
I would say I couldn't imagine what like artillery fire would sound like.
It's like the 20s.
Yeah. Have you seen the pictures of like the guys who go into before and after of World War I and World War II and how like much they age?
Yeah. It's
got to be a nightmare to sit there and hear like explosions go off around you. It's nice. It's nice and comfortable in this podcast studio in Austin, Texas. God forbid we were in Kiev right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't think that's ever going to end. I think they found the new Middle East.
What, Ukraine?
I think so.
It's just going to go slowly deeper into white people territory until it reaches America.
Yeah.
We're just going to slowly colonize
the
ourselves.
Gas pipelines and winter's about to start.
We're just slowly dividing the pie into thinner and thinner slices.
Right.
But yeah, the answer is just treating each other nicely because it's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Instead of just trying to get as much as possible, regardless of the social impact.
I think it should be like robots fighting, like Call of Duty. Each country should send their best COD players, and then.
Well, maybe it should be like such a esoteric thing. Like, listen, we all need war, so we're just gonna have it in this server. Like, they're gonna be fighting, and whoever wins determines who gets the oil pipeline.
It's the Hunger Games. It's the constructed Hunger Games at that point. Everybody has to get in. You can send who you want, or we can elect them.
Yeah.
And
it's like we all need to do war, but it is too costly physically.
Yeah.
So let's just do it digitally.
Do you think that'll get to the point? Because it used to be like, I'm going to kill as many as your people, then more than you're going to kill mine. But now it's like war is a fiscal game.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it maybe went into like an Ender's Game type of thing where it was like, oh, they don't have the bots to put up anymore.
It's like an auction. I bid $1,500.
Right. Nobody has to die. It's come down to complete sport. And then the winner of the tournament wins whatever the negotiations were.
I think it's easier to imagine that than it is to imagine us getting along peacefully.
So it's easier to imagine that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, I could.
It's easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why can't we just like fucking get along and, you know,
right?
Stop trying to take as much. Like you said, like you're happy being like a working class comic.
Mm-hmm.
Like if everyone had that, then we wouldn't need to keep trying to make finance bros and buy more cocaine and do the most expensive
But
drugs.
I think I was able to get to that level of like content because, I think I had the education to be content where I am now. I have the education also to lift myself up and go to bigger things if I'd like. But ultimately, I think I learned at a younger age and at an older age, like you need what you need and you get what you get. And then generally speaking, happiness is momentary, contentness is like long-term. So it's probably a weird, weak survival thing for me in the fact that I know I can sustain, working class comic a lot longer than I probably could going for it and then eating this like the big time failures, over and over again. There's probably something subconscious to that. But ultimately, it's an education thing. I think if we educate everyone properly, we can all get to a point where you can say, I can split my piece of bread nutritionally, I'll survive. Mm-hmm. It's people are so selfish.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Mean, you grew up in America. I don't know where this education came from, but
I had good parents. That I think a lot of it, we talked about religion earlier when we were eating, but Lutheranism was super impactful to me.
Martin Luther. He's like, we're not doing Catholicism anymore.
Yeah. The guy I learned Christianity from essentially was like, nah, like it's not, it's a spiritual thing. He really believed in value of self rather over than what I need to give you to receive something. I think that's huge, especially at the time he was doing it. And then he was just like this bad. He's like, okay, I'm going to show you 100 reasons why, and I'm going to nail them to your front fucking door, and that'll be that.
So that was like, don't go with the flow, just do your own thing.
Yes, I'd say that in a simple, I mean, that, and I should never have to pay anybody to feel something I can accomplish myself. Like, you're telling me
self-resilience.
Like I don't gotta go to heaven to pay you to go to heaven. I pay you to go to an escape room and get out or whatever, but I'm not gonna.
At least you get something out of that.
Yeah, I took mushrooms and sat in a dark room. I don't need to pay anyone to go to heaven.
Yeah,
like I'd say I got it tattooed on my arm. I have a Lutheran rose. It's such a pinnacle. And then this is the Chi-Rho, the sign of the crucifixion, because I believe in sacrifice too. And like I'd say that's the education. I don't think it was formal. I received formal education later on.
Like an emotional knowledge.
Spiritual knowledge.
How to be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's hard to teach everyone.
No. I think it's most of the time it's people realizing that, hey, you're trying too hard. Yeah. You're doing too much.
So the Protestant work ethic, you're like, I'm going back to Lutheranism.
Yeah, not completely. Like I said, I don't. My faith right now is pretty diminished, but I do believe like whatever.
Yeah, the myths that speak deeper to the soul than facts or like animal facts or random equations could ever get to. I mean, we're just animals. Like the things that speak to us and move us aren't necessarily math.
Yeah. Someone brought up Pilates to me recently about animals, and the Mr. Pilates, that was like his actual last name. It's like, you ever hear something and you're like, yeah, no one could ever be named that again. Like Hitler, Pilates,
Lincoln,
yoga. Like it's Lincoln. Yeah. It's apparently he grew up on a farm and he studied the way animals move naturally. And he thought that was integral to core strength and how, because animals don't move with an emotional purpose. They move completely for logistical reasons.
Yeah.
And he demised that, devised, I don't know. Surmised. God damn, I'm fucking belly full of pork belly. And he was like, the core is everything. Everything these animals do eventually stabilizes their core. And that's why Pilates is such a core-based strength training.
Yeah. Central node.
Right. But it originally, like, he wanted to do it because people crippled from war, he's like, well, what do we need to train so that you're able to do everything else? And it's like, well, it's the core. Once you get your core strong enough, you can start to lift your arm or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, abs.
Yeah, I think that speaks to back to like our natural inquisition to, like, as animals, there's parts of us inside too that we have to like nourish. You have to be spiritually okay. Otherwise you're going to go about, you're going to make decisions you shouldn't make. You think what you say what you do, you do who you are.
Need a core.
Yeah.
Spiritual core.
Yeah. You really got to have that strong.
Yeah.
My physical core is mushy, but my spiritual core is unbendable. It's kind of, yeah, it's great.
It's right.
Yep.
On your arm.
I do spiritual sit-ups every morning.
In your recliner.
Yeah.
You get woken up.
Well, that's what I did. I woke up, you text me, I stretch. I stretch every morning. I breathe, and
I breathe every morning too.
Right. I subscribe to the be here now method or whatever. And I really try to feel like I'm in my own body today.
Yeah.
And that we're going to experience today every day. And that's kind of important to me.
That's good. Mm-hmm. That way you're not like disassociating and checking out.
or stressed about things that I know are going to get done either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about like other people driving. Like I have someone in my life who's like, when my other family members driving, they'll be like, stop, go now, do this, change lanes, look this way. It's like when you're not here, they drive. So they are still alive.
Yes.
So the chances are that they're not going to die and crash when you're in the car.
Right.
So
if anything, you're making the probability higher by distracting them from their normal routine.
Right.
Yeah, that is a weird way. I've had that thought process before where you're like, I've gotten us this far. It's the did you die thought.
Yeah.
Did you die?
Yeah. It's just like some people want that control.
Right.
Because that's how they survive, is they control they think that they control every little variable. But then it's like you don't. Like so much of our lives is outside of our control.
Yeah.
And to like try to have control of everything is it's a waste of energy.
Right.
At best.
I think the best we can do is take it back where it gives us opportunities to. Like if you're at a red light, are you going to sit there and mind them at least you're at the red light, or are you going to
do something
on your phone?
Yeah, ever since I learned that AI was a better driver than humans, I'm like, I'm not going to spend any time getting good at this.
Is it a better driver? Because I know Tesla's having issues. I thought, like they've killed a couple people and ran in front of an 16-wheeler.
Like when it's like, oh, they can do this. Like this isn't a skill. Like if a cow is better at pulling a plow than I am, I'm not going to spend all my human energies pulling a plow. Even though that is a great exercise and it would make me better at some things, it's not like something that you want to be the best at. So I'd rather like get good at something. Like we're slowly shaving off parts of the human experience. Like back in the day, we're like, oh, if you can carry 2 pails of water, then you're an amazing person. But then we figured out ditches and wells and shit.
Ditches over. I like that you're like the answer was a hole in the ground closer to where you were. That's brilliant. Who was the first guy that was like, what if we just built one big bucket in the ground? That was probably the thought they went through too.
Yeah. Wells play such a prominent part in every medieval movie. Like that you hide in the well, you meet at the well. It's like you don't want to fall in the well.
Right. Thinking back now, you couldn't pay me to drink water from the ground like that.
I know.
Especially if it was sitting in a hole.
And everyone can spit in it.
Anyone can do anything they want.
Yeah.
I can fuck over it if I want to. I could scratch my balls
like
and flick the pubes in there when I walk by, and it would look less conspicuous than like a spit.
Usually they have a cover on it.
Yeah, but man, like bugs.
Yeah.
Roaches find a way to get in my restroom when the windows are closed. I don't know how they're getting in there, but I couldn't imagine could you imagine?
But what are the other options that's the best option?
I guess straight from the river to the tap. That's one thing I think about human history that truly astonishes me is how many times people were just like, we're going to eat or drink this, and I hope it's okay.
Yeah.
When they tell us, like, if you drink water at Barton Creek right now, you will die and your dogs will die and everyone you love will die if you touch that water.
Yeah, well, we polluted it and dammed it up.
Yeah, but you're telling me a fish didn't die upstream back then and a bear didn't take a shit in the river and it's just
we
crazy.
Put like, denim jeans in it. We put like dye and motor oil.
Denim jeans. Yeah, I would have started with motor oil, but I like the build to motor oil.
Whatever that dye is to make jeans blue.
Indigo?
Because there's that thing in China, the river. The river downstream from where they make the jeans is all blue, or like the denim blue.
Wow. I have friends that work on the coast at Dow, and the way they get around it is they build channels next to the bay or next to the Gulf. So they're not dumping the chemicals into the Gulf, they're dumping them into their channels that lead to the Gulf.
Hopefully it's filtered out
by the floodplain. Just when it floods, it all empties out.
Yeah.
It's and they're making like propylene glycol and oil. It doesn't. They're just dumping it into the ocean.
That can't be good. They find like little micro beads and plastics and stuff.
How good is a yacht trip that the guy is like, we got to keep doing this. I got to keep going on my yacht. I got to keep getting on that yacht. Keep pumping the chemicals into the ocean. It's more expensive to find a proper way to dispose of them. But if we do that, I lose 2 yachts.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? You want your kids to see the ocean one day? Or no? It's not that great.
Yeah.
It's always colder than you thought it would be.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like
One of the oceans is warmer. Like the Atlantic Ocean is warmer at the Pacific. I think the Atlantic.
Every time we went to the Pacific and I put my toes in it, like it's freezing.
Yeah, it's so big.
Is that why it's colder? Because of the size?
I don't know.
I feel like it's all part of the same thing. It's all coming from the same fridge down south. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about global warming?
I believe in global warming. I think about it like you're on the scooter. You're gonna start to see the smog a little bit more firsthand because you're riding.
You're breathing it too.
Yeah, I think in LA it was the first time I was ever like looking around and I was like, holy shit! In the morning time, 9 a.m., you can't see the mountains from like LAX. I was like, oh my god! And then you realize it, and you're like driving, and you want to roll your windows down because it looks nice outside. But then you look off in the distance, you're like, I'm in that.
Yeah,
I'm in that right now.
Yeah.
And I had like a raspy.
That's funny. I used to live in Sunset Park in Brooklyn. That's like south of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And you look at Manhattan from this hill and you see the smog around it. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm going there today.
Let me go there.
Yeah.
Let me go to that thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's got to be doing something. We can't just be pumping shit out and then it's just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, where in life is that true? Where you can just do whatever the fuck you want to something and then it all works out. Like, we have no discipline. We have no, like...
And then one guy at that factory is making most of the money.
Yeah.
I know there are cities, like parts of industrial China, where it's like an industrial city, that it is safer to vape tobacco, like PPG and nicotine. It's cleaner than breathing the air. Like they did a study where they like pulled the air through cotton balls and the air from outside affected the cotton balls more than like the air from the vape. It's actually a sanitization device to walk around China breathing in through a vape atomizer. That's crazy to think about.
But isn't the vape taking the air in from the outside?
Yeah, but it's heating it up. It's like I don't know how it really
filtering it out.
It's a scary thought. That's one place I need to go. I feel like there's so many fucking people. Yeah, it's like I'm ignoring a third of the world if I don't go see what they've been up to the last.
But they're
couple
all the
hundred
same.
years. Yeah.
So you just meet one.
But they have some really cool national or like landmarks that are pretty neat.
They have cities. I love how they design their cities. I love their high-speed rail.
That's in China too?
Efficient, yeah.
Okay. And you can go, like, does that connect the entire country essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I talk too much shit online about China for me to feel comfortable going to China.
Yeah, I feel like I could get in trouble out there. If they watched, you'd imagine they vet everybody that comes into their country with the surveillance they provide, right?
Yeah.
Like they would watch your podcast, don't you think?
It's like Google. Like a keyword search, they transcribe everything that I've said and be like, Control F, China.
Right. Do you think you're surveilled while you're over there if you went?
Honestly, I don't think it would be a big deal. Ari Shafir went over there and I'm sure he said some crazy shit, but that was like before a lot of crazy shit happened.
Would you go to North Korea to visit?
I would love to, yeah.
Yeah? How do you think that would go over though?
I think they would be like, you better be on your best behavior. One false move and you're going to be Brittany Grinered. Are
you from South Korea? You're American though.
I'm born in America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there would be hesitance on them for if you were South Korean trying to come to North Korea? Would they let a South Korean into North Korea?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're pretty stubborn. They're like, you're our enemy. You're our brother that we don't like. It's like very Asian. They're so stubborn. They're like, we hate you. Like philosophically, like it's a top-down approach. We hate you, therefore we're gonna treat you like this, this, and this. They're not like, oh, let me see how I feel around you. They're like, first of all, I hate you. Then let me figure out how I'm gonna treat you.
Do you remember the Otto story? The fraternity guy that went over there and came back with a lobotomy?
Yeah,
for stealing a propaganda flyer from the floor he wasn't supposed to be on. So they scrambled egged his brain.
Oh my god, they Jeffrey Dahmered him.
Yeah. Backwards though, because they were the Asian ones and he was the white guy.
Yeah,
maybe that's what it was.
Revenge.
Hey, remember what Dahmer did? pour some coolant in your fucking head.
Oh my god, that's crazy. I mean, I bet they figured out what worked. And they're like, these Americans are too headstrong. Let's make them obedient like us Asians.
Oh man, that's one place I think I'd have no interest in ever going to.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Rodman went.
Yeah, but he's like his best friend or whatever.
Well, he had to get to that point by getting there first.
Did he? Or was it like just one of those weird things where he's like sitting there in his private media room being like, I like the guy with the weird haircut and earrings. I want him here now. I want to meet that man.
I think that's the only NBA player they could get. Like, who else is going to go there? And they love the NBA.
Yeah, basketball's their thing.
Yeah, and it's like American, but not white people American, so they feel like it's not like supporting.
Yeah. I think the dietary issues in that country are really interesting.
Yeah.
Like they give the food to the people who need it.
Oh, really?
And they're smaller because of the malnutrition through the generations. And
in the 90s is when it happened. They used to be doing better than South Korea.
Really?
Yeah.
Food-wise or just
everything?
Wow.
Yeah, 70s.
And that was before the regime or like?
That was during the regime.
The original one.
Yeah. They were like the more democratic one. They were the one that was like more humane. Like South Korea had a military dictatorship. They would like jail anyone that wasn't fully supportive, and students had like rebellions and protests all the time that they would be murdered.
Wow.
And a lot of the people that were in power in South Korea were from the Japanese. When the Japanese colonized Korea, they were like the people that were like, you know, Uncle Toms.
Right.
They were the ones that were like, you know, selling out Koreans to the Japanese. And then
is that why the South Korean flag has some like Japanese hints in there?
I don't think
it feels Japanese in a weird way.
Yeah, I guess so. The circle in the middle.
Right.
I don't know what the deal with that is. Maybe. But yeah, like and then Americans came and they were like, okay, the people that were here during the Japanese imperialism, you guys are in charge now. Because they didn't want to like change anything. They were like, let's just keep it the way it is. And that's in Japan too. They just put the people that were in charge of it. They didn't change it at all.
Wow. So the idea is flipped essentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know that. It used to be the bad Korea, and ever since the Soviet Union fell, North Korea has fell on hard times.
Yeah, I think they're really interesting. I think it's crazy that they're shrinking, but then you go and you look at like a World War I bunker, and you think about how tiny people must be. Like, we can change people if we want to in like 2 generations.
Just feed them.
Yeah. What do you think about CRISPR?
I think it's cool. They found like a virus that can work into your genes and then replace certain parts of the gene with whatever they want.
Would you CRISPR your own children?
Yeah, if they figured it out and it was relatively safe.
Do you understand the threat with that?
Like
I don't really, but
make a mistake.
Well, it's like we don't know what we're doing to the it's something we don't
change their eye color, but then their butthole comes out weird.
Yeah, we don't understand how much of or if that child went and had a child, we wouldn't understand what we did to the gene pool. It would be like this weird thing. Maybe we messed up a huge linear.
But we should figure it out. We shouldn't just like not do it because we're afraid we're gonna fuck it up.
I think we should subscribe to like Tuskegee Air type psychological studies again.
Yeah,
I think
just
we need
fuck with people.
We don't really value life.
Yeah, why don't we get the benefits of not valuing life?
Why are we only applying the value of life to the things we simply don't need it on to progress us as a world?
Yeah, to make 5-cent cheeseburgers.
Yeah. It's like, why don't we figure out, I don't know. Why don't we figure out what really makes people gay?
Or just create an army of LeBron Jameses.
Yeah. How many bodies do you think we'd have to go through to figure out? Oh, man. Yeah, it's a...
Chinese body exhibit.
That's Rogan's doing a bit right now about the body museum.
Yeah.
That's scary. Who else? There's someone else. I don't know if it's a comic or someone was telling me. They wait until the end of that exhibit. The last thing you see when you walk out the door is it tells
like a disclaimer.
Yeah, it tells you everything you just saw was Chinese war criminals.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you that until you pay your money and finish.
By the way, you're
supporting the regime.
Yeah. You just saw everyone we hated.
And then you have to take a flyer about how Taiwan is not a country. Oh, I see what we're doing here. It's like a Scientology for the Chinese government.
I mean, Taiwan is great, but it is like America trying to fuck with China. They were like funding them. Yeah, they were funding Chiang Kai-shek, and they were like, "Here, we'll give you weapons."
Taiwan just legalized weed, right?
I don't know.
Or is that Thailand? It's Thailand.
Really? Thailand was really strict about that.
Right, like death penalty stuff, right? Like, wasn't there a dictator like pulling up on dirt bikes to kill people who smoked weed?
I think that was the Philippines.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Duterte.
Yeah. That guy's badass.
Yeah, I mean, if you take for granted that drug dealers are bad people.
Yeah.
If you just get over that thing.
How cool are dirt bikes and machine guns?
It's the smallest possible way to get around and
but
kill people.
You're just like outside mowing your lawn, and the president of the country pulls up and shoots you dead.
Oh, hey. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Thailand is now like one of the weed capitals of the world. And
it's a lush environment.
Lush, and then it's natural. It's like from Thailand.
Yeah.
Weed is from there. Thai stick is one of the original genomes of weed.
Yeah.
There's like three things. There's like Middle Eastern, like the Himalayan. There's the Thai stick, and there's like some parts of Africa. I forget what it is. But basically every weed from then to now is just crossbred to that from those three strains. And now what's even crazier to see is that culturally they're different. So different that we have basically 5 ways to get high in America on weed. Smoke it, eat it, dab it, put it in a pen. I'm probably missing 1 or 2 more.
Boof it.
Sure. But like there, it's like culturally they're like smoking it differently. They're eating it differently. They're finding ways to extract the THC differently. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Like how many other ways are there going to be to get high?
Yeah. We should all like expand our culture. Like everyone should be coming up with their own ways depending on what environment they're in. Mm-hmm. It's like Barbie, like business Barbie and Malibu Barbie. It's like humans have so many different ways of being, and it's amazing how much we can change depending on whether we're in a jungle or a desert. Yeah.
What do people in Thailand speak?
Thai.
Could you imagine how going over there on weed tourism, get really high, and everyone around you speaking Thai? You're just like, wow, this shit really is good. I can't understand a word anybody's saying.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Thailand's also the place where the ladyboys are.
Yeah. Their boys are close to men.
Yeah.
They create them similarly. Or maybe like they have like more people in the middle, like gender isn't really that strict. It's not like so manly and so womanly. Everyone is sort of in the middle.
Really? They don't have gender ideals really set in?
I mean, they do.
Norms? Okay.
But it's just like not as rigid or whatever.
It's not as edgy to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Like here you look at a guy and you're like, he works at Hot Topic or something like that.
Yeah.
And then over there it's just like,
he's normal Thai.
I mean, you talk about the Native Americans, they had like 6 genders.
Yeah.
Before we came over here and put blankets on them and killed them all. But
put a blanket over your gender.
Yeah.
We don't want to see that shit.
It's like there's just one gender that fishes. That's all they do. I'm a fish gender.
Well, I think like the trans thing is like fine. We should be open, and like empathy should be given to like the people on the extremes, not just like to the people that we're all familiar with. Like that's how you know how empathetic you are as a society. And I think overall, like it's a distraction from the real issues. Like we'd rather talk about trans than about reshaping the economy and redistributing wealth and
protecting medical rights for people. Yeah. That's the craziest one to me right now. Is like that seems like something we had to go out of our way. Like climate control is always going to be a fight. But it's like there are some things that are like, this is still a fight.
Abortion, you mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't like, I just like, like, it's just not our choice. It's not our point to make that. I don't think anyone. Men. Yeah. Or anybody who is in the situation is not about. It's such a unique individual experience. It should be your unique individual choice.
Yeah. If it's growing inside of you, you should be able to do what you want with it.
Yeah. If you had a tumor that grew eyes, like on the off chance, it's like, I want that removed.
I believe that's life. That's what I identify as. I'm sexually attracted to tumors, and if you kill them, then I'm really sad.
Right. Yeah, I think it's once again, it's an education issue. I think it's Kanye on Lex Friedman the other day. He was like, fuck everything. Kids don't need to learn anything. It's all indoctrination. The only thing kids should be ever taught is engineering. Engineering.
Just no morals, no spirituality, just no English, how to make
none of that. How to make shit
that kill.
Yep, I guess. Yeah. And I was like, I think we should be teaching. There should be more spirituality in schools. Like that's tough though, because you can't tell a Southern Evangelical Baptist that you're going to teach your kids how to just be here now. Like it's going to be really bad when they're trying to be here now during an hour-long service that they cannot relate anything to on a sermon they can't understand. Yeah. It wasn't until I was 25, went back to church and listened to the sermon, was like, yeah. Still can't remember that sermon.
Yeah. I mean, so much of it is disassociating. Like, we don't want people to be in the moment and present. We want them to be able to space out and not be present. Because then that makes it better, easier for us to treat you however we want. If you can disassociate and think about something else while you're working at Walmart or an office job, then we don't have to give you a good job, or, you know, you just sit in the corner and don't start a revolution.
Right. I think TikTok should be banned. I think it's like...
Well, my thing is, like, why should TikTok have to be for the social good when oil companies don't have to? Like, why are we like...
That's a good point.
I have to be able to meme whatever I want, but what about the air and the water? Like, they can do whatever they want for profit. Like, shouldn't TikTok and Facebook just be able to make a profit if they want to? Like, why do they have to do certain things certain ways?
I think it's that social aspect.
Yeah, which I agree with.
There's a weird governance to owning a social media company, right?
Yeah. I'm not saying like Facebook should be able to do whatever they want. I'm saying oil companies shouldn't be able to do whatever they want. Like, you should extend that logic to, you know, all industries. Like, it should, the social good should be a factor, and we should be able to be like, hey, we don't want this guy polluting our lake. Just like we could be like, hey, we don't want this guy censored for saying, you know, vaccines might not be safe.
Yeah, and I think that's a brilliant counter argument to it all. It's like, how are you going to tell Facebook, I can't put that I'm not a fan of Jewish people, but you're telling me this company can go and dump oil in a sea that a country relies on for the wildlife in it. Yeah, you're like right. Somalia. That's so bizarre, and how that's not the comparison isn't it's like thicker line. You know,
if that's what they're doing to our minds, imagine what they've been doing to the ocean.
Like what they've been doing to my bank account. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. You're right. That's such a weird thing.
But this is the only thing we have. We're like, we can't control the air or the lake or railroads. All we can control is, hey, on my phone, I want to be able to see Candace Owens say black people should, suffer more and we should torture them more to get them to be more productive members of society. It's like, I want to see my memes. It's like, since they're fucking with our memes, we're like, how dare you? But we're lost everything else.
It is such a weird... It's because you need an oil change every 6 months, and you look at 5,000 memes in one 30-minute sitting. Yeah. So it's like... we're so prehistoric. Our minds are so fucking dumb.
If I'm going to live in a polluted environment and not be able to watch the memes that I want to watch, then that's too much.
I'm not voting then. Yeah. I ain't going to vote if I can't... I don't vote. I'll be honest.
Well, you tried.
I told you. I tried 2 times, and I'm at a point now where I'm like, you know what? Clearly, they don't want me here. I'm honestly
so fucked up.
I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna make that much of a difference, anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And then how many people do they do that to?
Right. Unless I can talk to the people in front of me and behind me in line, there's no difference to be made.
Yeah, that's what I do. Instead of voting, I go there and try to convince people to vote the way I want them to.
You know Marcus Oland?
Yeah.
He registered down here. He's a comic. Just saying it for but he's a knowledgeable guy. He's a really smart guy. Always appreciate his take on anything. He's really quick too. And he's like, I'm gonna go vote in Austin because I registered. And I was like, okay, local? And he's like, yeah. And then he pulled up the website and he was reading to me. He had already done it. He read through them all. But every single person's website that's running for like mayor of Austin. And there are some crazy fucking people, dude. Like, it gets all the way down. Like, this one girl, he said there was one person, he's like, oh, sure vote. Her website has an issues page. No one else had an issues page. He said it was so disorganized, but hers was great. But then he gets all the way down to the bottom of her issues page, and everything's like, yeah, it's great. It's rolling back. You know, let's get women back their medical rights. All this, everything that makes sense. And then at the end, it goes crazy talking about how there's mind control efforts done by the CIA and how like we have no chance to actually think freely for ourselves and how no one's lobbying against that. And I'm like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, she's still the best option for me to vote for, though. That's the crazier thing.
The mind control candidate.
Yeah. That's like her one glimmer of herself shining through her political platform.
She's like a Facebook mom.
Yeah. Mama bears are scary, dude.
Yeah, they have a lot of power.
Yeah, that's what they raise their kids.
This guy said that's what went wrong. Hasanabi, that's what he said went wrong with Andrew Tate, is he pissed off conservative moms. Like, he's like, women are shit.
Who is Andrew Tate? I lost this whole thing.
He's a kickboxer who has English and American roots. He talks with like this weird British accent, and he's like sort of like a alpha male, like women aren't shit. They want to be dominated.
Okay.
Type of guy.
And he has a big fan base.
Yeah. He got a lot. He got big really quickly, and then he got banned from everything.
Okay. Is he on Parler now or something like that?
I don't know what he's doing.
That's crazy.
But yeah, he said that's what happened. Is like even conservative moms couldn't get on board. It's like this is too extreme. Like he just went too far with it.
If your niche starts to pay you, make your money. But in the event that I think it doesn't pay you, but you find yourself in that situation, it's like readjust. You know what I mean? You're clearly doing something that's too...
Which, I mean, I don't like censorship, but I also think like if you're saying fucked up shit, there should be consequences. Like Kanye, like losing Adidas and losing whatever.
I solely believe, like, I think I was the last... I'm 26. We talked about millennials versus Gen Z, right?
Yeah.
I'm the last year of a millennial. Is a 96 born. And I remember getting popped in the mouth by my parents and by other kids. I remember getting in fist fights.
Because like conservatives will be like, back in my day, we used to fist fight and punch each other.
And
but now they're like,
that.
oh, like you took away my Facebook because I said that the Nazis should have killed more Jews. Like you're hurting my feelings.
Yeah, and that person needs to be slapped so they know that they were very dumb.
Yeah, like there should be consequences because words are powerful and they can do damage.
But also now you can say that behind a keyboard thing, and like, if I said it at school, you know, there might be a group of Jewish kids, because it'll take more than one of them.
Yeah.
They're small, okay? And no, it's just, I remember I called a kid a dumbass in the lunch line when I was in 6th grade, and I stuck to it. I was like, no, you're a fucking dumbass. He said, you say it one more time, I'll hit you. And he was like the biggest kid in my school. This is actually funny. I was 12. His name was Ezekiel Kane. Shout out, we're good friends now. Easy Kane. He's a rapper. And he was trying to start a gang at my school in Hurst, Texas. And we had watched a couple of informational videos about gangs and whatever. And I was like, little conservative Phillip Garcia was like, you're not starting a gang in my school. So I he was passing out sign-up lists for this gang. 12-year-old shit.
That's how you start a gang. It's a good sign-up list.
Slapping the keyboard out of, the
clipboard
out of his hand every chance I could. I was like, quit talking to my friends, dude. You're not going to fuck up this school. I'm a 6th grader here. I'm in charge. Because it was 1st through 6th. I was like a senior. And I remember one day in the lunch line, I told him, I was like, hey, man, you're a really big dumbass. We're trying to get that shit started. I want you to stop. And then he was like, call me a dumbass one more time. We're going to fight. And then he was like 6'2". I was like 5'6" at the time. And it was like swinging at his belt line, going crazy. And fighting it out, and the lunch lady came and like picked us both up by the back of our t-shirts.
How big was this lunch lady?
Dude, she's massive. Lunch lady big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Matilda.
Like she's eating
the principal and Matilda.
Right. She's eating like 4 lunches every day for herself. And then telling kids with no money, you got to go home hungry.
She it was one of those schools?
No, she was a sweetheart. Okay. She loved me. Everyone at that school loved me because like one of 3 brothers, so everyone knew us, all the teachers. And she picked us up, like each of us, like I'm like a foot off the ground because I'm shorter, and then Easy's like 2 inches off the ground. She's like walking us to the principal's office, and she throws us in the chairs in the principal's office. She's like, these 2 are fighting in the lunch line, and then walked out. And then Easy goes, the Miss Gallion, who's passed away since, she goes, Easy, pull up your pants. Phillip, go back to class. And I was like, what? You're not going to call my parents or anything or tell anybody? Because I was so excited that I got my first fight.
Yeah,
I wanted everyone to know. I went home. I told my parents over and over again, like, okay, Phillip, whatever. I told my dad when I got out of the car that day, I was like, I'm getting in a fight today. He's like, okay, son. And then like 2 days went by of me at the dinner table adamantly being just like, I got to fight. I'm like what? It happened.
You wanted to be reprimanded?
So bad, dude. I just wanted to be cool so bad. And then eventually they called the school. Like my mom and dad called Miss Gallion and was like, did he get in this fight? And Miss Gallion was like, oh yeah, he did get in a fight a couple days ago, but it's okay. He was standing up for the right thing. And I was like, this is so fucking lame, dude. I'm just I want to be a badass.
They didn't give you the satisfaction of getting you in trouble.
I should have started a gang. That would have been a
counter gang. I like how your solution to gang violence was violence. Mm-hmm. I'm going to fight this guy who's trying to start violence.
At 12 years old, I had the same competence as a 36-year-old Republican from Hurst, Texas. Like pretty wise for those parts of town.
You're saying like if you say stupid shit, then you should get picked up by Mrs. Zuckerberg, carried to the principal's office.
I think that people should have more fear in them. Mm-hmm. I think that we've eliminated a lot of fear physically from the world. I don't think you should hit people. I'm never going to be the person to do it. I'm never going to be the person to get hit.
Do you think Kanye feels sad now?
I think Kanye I think Kanye is alone. I think he lacks a friendship. I really do. I mean, the interview with Lex, he gets all that way, and you hear like this distrust in his voice. And I think he realizes at the end that when Lex is like, "No, I'm like, man, I'm here like to let you have your platform, and I'm here to help you." And I think when he realized Lex was being genuine in that moment, the interview changed, and then Kanye changed. You see him like leave Ye and become a human being. He's like, it's been a while since I've been on a major media platform. And he forgot, like, it was a 2.5 hour podcast. Like, it's just real. There's no filter here. And I think he's missing that. I think he's missing a system of checks and balances with people that love and respect him.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what's going to let
he has too much power. Nobody can say anything to him.
Yeah. And anytime anyone does, they're like, who are you influenced by? Because he doesn't have a genuine friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to keep your day ones around, man.
Well, that should be the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good message.
Day ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. You got to.
Should be checked and balanced.
100%.
All right. Thanks, guys.